Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Spirit Speaker KC podcast. I am medium Jamie Collins, and tonight we have guest Catiara Marie. I always loved your name, Catiara Marie. It just had this flow to it, like in the movies or something like that. It just has that flow. But I met Kat we worked some of the same metaphysical events. And one of the things that's always intrigued me is tarot or however people want to pronounce it. And so, since it's one of those things that intrigued me, I have always enjoyed watching. I've had a reading by Kat. She used to, I don't know if you still do, Kat. We'll talk about that. You used to have these little updates or things you would say on Instagram, and I used to just love those. And so I thought, she does tarot. I'm going to have her on and talk about that. So before we start, Kat, I want to read your bio.
Okay.
Catiara Marie is a psychic intuitive that has been reading tarot and oracle cards for over 29 years. She is a full-time professional tarot card reader and life coach. Catiara offers curious questions, new perspectives, and challenges to both her clients and her students in order to help them develop the skills they need to live their best life in the present and towards the future. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for
like
inviting me.
Yeah, no problem. I always like to start because I'm always curious how you got into not just tarot, but the spiritual journey. What was life if I had met you in elementary school or been a friend in elementary school? Were you always metaphysical or spiritual? What was life like as little Kat?
So, as little Kat, in elementary school, we're going back that far. That feels like a whole different lifetime ago.
I know.
I was raised Roman Catholic
Oh, wow.
from an Italian family. My mom was one of 10 kids. So,
Mm.
we'd have family get togethers. You're talking like 75 cousins, like first cousins.
Right.
Big Italian family, very religious in that sense. I grew up in Massachusetts. Most of my family was born and raised in East Boston.
Mm.
My mom left East Boston as soon as she could, so I was raised in the suburbs of Boston.
Okay.
But yeah, I was raised Roman Catholic, so it doesn't quite fit what I do for a living at the moment. So my spiritual journey kind of started after we left Massachusetts. I was 10 years old, and we moved to Florida. At which point we just stopped going to church. But to be fair, even through my youth, going to church, doing the CCD classes, getting my first communion, my parents never went to church. They sent me to church.
Ah.
It was what was expected of the family. Like all of the kids, all the grandkids, everybody went to church. They got first communion, did their confirmation. It's just what was expected. I don't think there was
Right.
any true faith, at least on my mother's part.
Ah.
So when we moved to Florida, and she was no longer, I guess, influenced by her family, she was done. That was it.
Wow.
So that
Wow.
started my spiritual journey, where by the time I was around 12, I was looking for something. And
Mm.
I had a best friend, Carrie, that her mom was on her own spiritual journey. So she would take the two of us to church every Sunday. Mind you, it was a different church every
Mm.
Sunday, trying to find what's right, what's going to work for her. We
Oh,
went
wow.
to Lutheran, Presbyterian, United Methodist, you name it, we went to it.
Okay.
The holy roller speaking in tongues, we've seen some stuff. And eventually she settled on First Baptist Church.
Wow.
So in order to, belong and whatnot, I joined the First Baptist Church too. So I've been baptized twice. So like I should be a shoe-in for heaven if I believed in it, but that's a whole nother story. So after that, I guess probably within a year, I left that church and then just kind of started down a spiritual path where I wanted to learn everything that I could about every religion that was out there. So I did the research. I read about everything. I read the Quran, I read the Bible, I read
Wow.
everything I could get my hands on. And then I would read like the, world religions for dummies and try to get a synopsis of what's going on with all these different religions.
Right.
Buddhism probably was one. It's not really a religion, it's more of a way of life. It
Right.
probably called to me most at that time because it was very peaceful, and the biggest thing is it didn't expect a lot of you other than to be a good person.
Right.
It's
Right.
really all I wanted to do and all I wanted to be around was like good people.
Right.
So that's kind of my spiritual journey in that sense. As I got older, I also looked into Wicca, joined a coven for a while. I would say probably my favorite religious experience was when I was going to the Unitarian Universalist Church for a while, because every week they would have something different and unique. I got to see the Tibetan monks perform. I got
Okay.
sorts of really intriguing spiritual connections and just different ways that people connect to the divine.
Wow.
So in 1999, I became a non-denominational interfaith minister through the Universal
Mm.
Church. And for several years, I performed different milestone celebrations, weddings, but I also did like blessings, baby blessings, or christenings, or name blessings, depending on like whatever their religious affiliation was.
Right. Right.
Funeral services and
Oh,
rites, all
wow.
sorts of things for years. I did that.
Wow.
And I've performed a lot of different interfaith marriages. I've done prison weddings. I
Wow.
married one couple at Applebee's. So it's been a fun spiritual journey.
Wow.
But I
Wow.
found tarot, and I don't care how you pronounce it. I don't know if there
Yeah.
is a proper pronunciation at this point. I
Right.
think some of it just depends on where you're from, how you speak.
True.
So I generally call it tarot. And for me, I found it in 1996. I was 18 years old, or had just turned 18, really. And I found it in a little metaphysical shop in Muncie, Indiana. And I just fell in love with the cards immediately. And so, like I do with most things, I deep dive, like just
Mm.
read every book I could find, took every class, took every course. Back then in the 90s, there was no online stuff. So it was all
Right. Right.
I had to find mentors and all of that. And I did.
Right.
And I studied and read, and I mean, all the little white books, all the big books, everything I could find,
Yeah.
years and years and years. Um, and I was doing readings for friends and family and anybody that wanted them, sitting in the coffee shop for probably almost 10 years before I ever charged for a reading.
Wow. Oh my.
So I didn't
That's
really start doing it professionally, by term professionally, you get paid for it,
right.
probably 2006. But I
Oh.
had been reading like daily since 96.
So did it feel when you discovered you were kind of drawn, you're in Muncie, Indiana. Is this a metaphysical shop? Where did you find
Yeah,
these
it was.
cards?
I'm trying to remember. I think the name of the shop was Quarter Moon Books. But to
Okay.
be fair, we're talking 30 years ago.
Right, right.
Next year makes 30 years, which is crazy.
Oh wow. And so you're in this shop, and had you ever had the experience of a reading before
Nope.
then? You've never
Never
so did
even never even touched tarot cards before then. I had seen them as a teenager. A lot of my friends were, they played D&D. We did that. So like I had seen tarot cards on the shelf back then it was like Walden Books,
right,
um,
right,
at the
right,
mall and stuff like that. But I never
right.
really like it didn't pique my curiosity that much.
Huh.
I'd seen them, I'd been aware of them, but I'm like, whatever. I was kind of doing my own thing. And even like
Right.
while my friends were playing D&D, I was the outlier in that. I would go, I'd watch them, but then I'd get busy doing something else. Like I never really fell into that. That wasn't my thing.
I
I'm
think,
more grounded in reality and practicality than I am in any kind of fantasy, which
huh.
is, very different for my spirituality, which is
So,
probably why I was always seeking.
no, that's it all kind of feels full circle for our listeners. What is D&D?
D&D is Dungeons and Dragons. It's a
Yeah.
role-playing game. Um, my husband is interested in plays that. My kids now, I have 4 kids. They are
Uh-huh.
13, 14, 19, and 27.
Uh-huh.
And my 13 and 14-year-old play D&D. As a matter
Okay.
of fact, my 14-year-old son is what they call a dungeon master. So
Oh,
he
wow.
leads the games. He does it here at the local public library twice a month. He is the dungeon master for
Uh,
the public library.
oh, wow.
So they
Okay.
are very much into the role playing and the fantasy things. I guess there's a bunch of other games. I don't really pay attention to them, so I don't
Yeah,
know.
I was just wanting to make sure our listeners are like, what's D&D? But I think it's interesting that you got into tarot, but you had all of this different religious or seeking, and it just kind of all feels full circle. Do you think your curiosity and so forth and religion helped with tarot? I mean, where did that do
Probably.
okay,
Um,
how?
It's because to me, when you're talking about tarot cards, like I do feel that they are a tool. They are a connection to the divine. Are they themselves divine? Do you have to wrap them in silken cloth and put them in the moonlight and put them under your pillow? No, they're a piece of freaking cardboard.
Yeah.
But the symbolism, the archetypes, all of the meanings behind the cards are how divinity speaks to us.
Mm.
Just like out in the regular world, you hear people saying they saw signs. They
Right,
found a
right.
feather, they found a
Okay.
penny, they found whatever. They're signs, they're symbols, they're a divine connection to something more. And that's kind of how I look at tarot cards, which now I have a little bit of a problem. I collect them. So I probably have over 300 decks at this
Oh
point.
my gosh.
Yes.
Oh
But
wow.
the artwork is phenomenal. And I will be honest, I am definitely a Rider Waite Smith person.
Uh-huh.
So I don't care for the Thoth deck. It's not really my thing. It's too kind of chaotic in its imagery. My life is chaos. I like my imagery nice and clean. And then Marseille's I like, but it took me a long time to really feel comfortable reading it because with that particular style, it's more what they call a pip deck, which means the minor arcana, we'll get into in a minute,
Mhm.
is just like 3 swords or 4 swords or 2 wands. There's no real imagery to it.
Ah,
You
okay.
really have to know what the cards mean. You have to know your numerology. You have to know the
Okay.
elements. You have to know all these intricacies to really be able to dive deep and read them well,
Okay.
at least in
Got
my opinion.
yeah.
So I
Where
wouldn't recommend them for beginners.
gotcha. Where did tarot begin? Like, how did they
That's one
come
of those
about? And
debated.
I'm only asking you because you deep dive. You go down that rabbit hole. I've
I
never
do.
done that.
I do. I
I've never
will
done
be
that.
honest though, I'm not a huge historian. Like I respect history and I know that if you don't learn it and understand it, you're doomed to repeat it.
Yeah.
But names, dates, all of that, I'm like, ugh, I don't have
No,
room for
just
that in my brain. But
okay. How
as
far
far
back
as
does it
tarot
go?
itself, to my understanding, that is one of the controversial issues. It's
Ah,
long debated. As far as I can tell, with everything that I have read, the majority of the scholars, the people that I would actually put my trust in,
right.
have determined that it was basically created in about the 1400s in Italy. The Sforza family, I believe it was. Was it the Sforza or the Visconti? One of those families
Okay.
had paid to have them painted. So they were originally like the minor arcana, the pip cards were based on the playing cards of the day.
Okay.
And then the trumps or the major arcana were painted for this Italian family. And it was
Ah,
originally what they called tarocchi. It was a tarocchi playing card deck, and it was originally designed to play games like you would like poker and things like that.
oh, okay, okay, yeah.
And then over time, it developed into more fortune telling and stuff. Now, there's other theories that they had originated in Egypt and all of that, but most of those have been debunked by true scholars, but there's still a debate. There's lots of things that are controversial when it comes to tarot.
Ah, interesting. So you've mentioned it a little bit. Tell us about the major. Let's take it kind of step by step for
Yeah, I'll just tell
people.
you about the deck itself. So
Yeah, so people are new to tarot. They've never seen the cards before or really understand what they are.
So the
How,
tarot deck is made up of 78 cards. The major arcana are there's 22 cards in the major arcana, 56 in the minor arcana. So the major arcana are 0 to 21. And they are what you would also, they've been called trump cards. They've been called, so arcana means secret. So you have the major secret and the minor secret.
oh, okay, cool.
Um,
I didn't know
and
that.
so, and another way of looking at is the major arcana are typically looked at as depicting larger spiritual connections and I guess events within one's life, where the minor arcana are more practical daily events in one's life. The minor
Okay.
arcana, those 56 cards are separated into 4 suits. You have the swords, the pentacles, the wands, and the cups. And those, there's the ace through 10, and then page, knight, queen, and king.
Oh, wow.
Although there are some, and those are called the court cards. There are some decks like different themes, different stuff. Some will call them prince and
Oh,
princess,
okay.
or
Okay.
mother, father, daughter, son. Like depending on the theme of the deck, that they have different names. But typically, the original 1909 version of the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot
Hmm.
deck
Hmm.
is, which was designed by A.E. Waite and drawn by Pamela Coleman Smith. That has page, knight, queen, and king. So,
Ah,
so with
okay.
those 4 plus the 4 elements, you have 16 court cards. And some people like to look at those as the people in your lives.
Ah,
So when you're doing a tarot reading, if certain ones come up, like they could be in reference to the people in your life because they represent different personalities, different experiences, different archetypes.
wow. Oh,
Yeah.
God.
It gets pretty intricate if you want to break it down. And then the major arcana, the Eden Gray is the one that came up with the terminology, the fool's journey, which is basically our spiritual journey from birth through
Oh,
life.
okay.
And if you go through each one, you can see that the soul progresses all the way to the world, which is the final 21st card. And the world is the culmination of everything and the completion, but it's when one thing ends, a new begins. So it
Ah,
brings you full
okay.
circle and you start again.
You said you had a preference for Rider Waite, and I have heard other people say that. Why are they not the authority, but why are people so drawn to the Rider Waite? Why does that seem to be the deck?
For me personally, I think that a lot of people are drawn to the Rider-Waite because it's easy to connect to. Especially now with all the different what they call Rider-Waite clones, where they're
Oh,
based on the Rider-Waite imagery, but then they are brought to be more modern, right?
okay.
So with the Rider-Waite, the minor arcana are what they call pictorial. So they each have pictures. Let me see if I can just pull one. So this is the Two of Cups. I don't know if you can see that there.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's a picture. You can see the image. You can see the people. You can see them holding cups. You can see them looking at each other. There's a background. In Marseille's, it's just 2 cups.
Ah,
And in
okay.
Thoth, I don't even remember because to me, like I said, the Thoth images are a little chaotic. I don't know, something about them just kind of puts me off. There's a lot of people, don't get me wrong, that absolutely love the Thoth deck. It's the second most popular. It's just not
Spell
for
that. What are you saying? Thoth?
Thoth.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, and that
And
one was designed by Aleister Crowley, and I believe painted by Frida Harris, if I'm
hmm,
remembering correctly.
okay.
Um, but yeah, that's probably the second most popular. Me personally, I'm a huge fan of Rider Waite Smith clones because I love the imagery. I love the pictorial aspect of being able to see an entire scene, but
Okay.
I also love to have it more modern because, again, when that deck was designed, it was designed in 1909, very different time period from where we are right now. It was in England, very different area than we live right now.
Right.
We would say there's almost no diversity in that deck.
Okay.
It's all white people. It's
Right.
all they are very much all the same body shape, style, and all that. So I love that a lot of these new decks have diversity. You
Okay.
have different skin color, different hair color. You have
Right.
different sexualities that are pertained in within the cards, and then you have more modern experiences also portrayed within the cards. Because from what I understand about Pamela Coleman Smith, she was into the theater. She
Hmm.
was part of the theater group, so a lot of her artistry and her paintings, if you look closely, you can see that they are actually a painting of a stage. Um,
Ah,
and so
okay.
it's like when she designed the stage for a play, she did a similar thing with the tarot cards.
Hmm.
So that's why, like, I love that the newer, more modern decks are more grounded in reality rather than in what I would think is more like a staged play.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So when you talk about how you're drawn to the imagery, what happens if you're using, even though I don't think you would use a deck like that, what happens if you're using a deck that just has two cups or three wands? What are you doing when you do tarot? Are
Okay,
you using your intuition plus the picture on the card? If someone's getting a reading with you or any tarot reader, what are you using? What are you doing?
so okay, for me now, because I've been doing this for almost 30 years, it really doesn't matter what the card looks like.
Yeah,
I
okay.
know what it means.
Right,
So
right.
whether it has two cups or if it has a whole imagery or whatnot, I have an understanding of what the card means, especially in relation in context to whatever the question is or whatever cards are surrounding it. Um, as far as how it works for me is it's a combination of psychic intuition as
Okay.
well as long-term academic education. And that's
Hmm.
what I would recommend for anybody. Like, you absolutely want to trust your intuition, rely on
Right,
it, and let it guide you.
right.
Please, please, please have a basic understanding of what things mean beforehand. Don't just pick up a deck of cards and they think, I'm an intuitive reader. I've never seen these before in my life, but I'm just going to make up what they mean. That
Okay.
is disrespecting
Gotcha.
over 100 years of tarot readers, authors, writers. You know what I mean? Like, it's just,
Yes, yes.
yeah, it just sort of is kind of dismissive in a sense. So I'm
Mm.
a firm believer in both intuition and tuition. Pay your
Okay.
dues. You know what I mean? Like,
Right, absolutely.
yeah, yeah,
I
learn
love
what
that.
they mean. That doesn't necessarily mean memorizing keywords, although that
Right.
is one technique. Um, but once you have learned the basics of what a card means, that's when you need to learn to trust your intuition.
Ah,
So, as you start to explore tarot, you will see that a lot of cards, there's 78 cards. And then if you read reversals, that's 156 cards, really, right? Then every card has multiple meanings.
oh
So
my
that's to
God.
me where the intuition comes in. Is
Ah,
if this card means 10 different things, it's not going to mean all 10 different things at one time or in relation to one question or one particular reading. That's your intuition tells you which applies to this situation at this moment.
Wow.
especially in correlation to the other cards surrounding it.
Right, right. Oh my gosh. That's when you think of it that way, 156. I mean, holy cow.
And
So
that's
back
just, but that's only if they each had one word for upright or reverse. Now, if
right,
you're
right.
talking 10 words each, that adds up real quick. And then you start combining them.
Right. Oh my gosh. So when you first pick up these cards, as you said, intuition and tuition, did what how did you develop your process? How did it come about for you when you're studying, learning about them? Did you test your intuition versus your tuition in all your study?
Not initially. So when I first began, and this is, like I said, going back 30 years,
Right.
it was all academic for me. That's
Hmm.
just the way that I learned best for me. And like I said, I am a firm believer in knowledge is power.
Okay.
So the more that I knew, the more that I could use and benefit me. And I think of it in terms of when you're thinking about books, especially educational books, it's still just an author's opinion. So
True.
the more opinions that you have, the better understanding and the more that you can find what resonates with you. So I
Okay.
read every book and I still read every book that I can get
Right.
my hands on, even
Okay.
though at this point, 80% of them say the same thing. Like when you're reading the keywords, 80% of those keywords are going to be identical from book to book to book. But every now and then you'll have an author that has a different opinion, that has
Right.
makes you think, gives you a new perspective.
Right.
And so for me, initially, it was all about the education. It was all about the academic aspect. And I highly recommend having a tarot journal where, as you go through these books and you read and you look at the cards and you basically become one with the cards and understanding the pictures and what they mean to you,
Uh-huh.
you write down what resonates, what makes sense from each individual book. Like you
Hmm.
don't, all your meanings don't have to come from one place. So how
No,
you interpret and understand a card can come from multiple sources.
no, totally makes sense. I feel that same way about mediumship. When I'm reading different books about mediumship, as you said, 80% of them, they're all saying the same thing. But you might pick up a book that has a different nugget in it, and you go, oh, I never thought about it that way, or that's a unique way to look at it. So I
Exactly.
totally, I totally get what you mean. It's pretty much the same, but every
So then,
once in a while you'll see something or read something different.
so then bringing the intuition part in it is once I felt confident that I knew what all the cards meant, I could pull a random card and know what it meant and felt confident in that. Then I started with the intuitive aspect of, okay, so what does this card mean in relation to this, in relation
Hmm.
to this question? And again, and that's where journaling comes in.
Ah,
And so one of the things that I do different when I teach my students is I tell them your best way to truly learn your cards is to do it backwards.
what do
I
you
mean,
mean?
so like when you know the answer to something, it's kind of like Jeopardy. It's like playing Jeopardy with
Uh-huh.
tarot cards. So most people will start their day by pulling a few cards of the day to get an idea of how their day is going to go. Like, what's my card of the day?
Okay.
Okay, well, you've got at least 10 options. What does that mean? You don't know what that means. It could mean anything, right?
Ah.
If you pull your cards at the end of the day and you think about, okay, what did I experience today? How do these
Ah.
three cards pertain? Then
Oh.
you're learning how the tarot speaks to you. You're
Oh.
learning in reverse, but it teaches you to understand what the cards are saying. To me, the cards speak a language, and you have to learn the language. You have to become fluent.
Ah. That's an interesting way to look at that. I
Because
so
if you
what if
already
I
know what happened, that's once you learn how the cards speak to you, the next step that I would say is to do things that you get instant feedback on. So if you're like me and you have a few favorite TV shows or things like that that has like characters that go from one episode to the next to where you
yeah.
build up like a storyline. Like back in the day when I was doing this,
Mhm.
soap operas. Obviously, I don't watch those anymore. I don't even have cable TV anymore. I use streaming. But when you're watching things like One Life to Live or General Hospital or
Right.
that kind of thing, I would pull cards as to like what's going to happen tomorrow with my favorite character. so that I
Oh,
could then watch and see if my cards were accurate, because I had instant gratification. Within 24 hours, I knew whether or not that was accurate, because I love prediction. Prediction is my wheelhouse.
huh.
So if you can do something where, like, you know, you're going to a party later,
Okay.
you pull some cards, what's going to happen, and write down a few scenarios where those cards might fit. And then when you get home, read your journal, read your notes, and be like, oh, this is what happened. So then you also see how the cards are speaking to you.
Oh, wow. Ah, that's interesting. Never heard anyone speak of it that way. So do you even do that now? Let's say you have an event or something, just out of cur
Sometimes,
okay.
very rarely do I read the cards for myself unless I'm really, really torn on like a decision.
Why not?
Uh, so that is one thing that I have seen, especially with tarot readers as well as clients, is you can become too dependent.
Ah, okay.
I would never tell my client what to do. I would give
Sure.
them options, tell them what potentials there are, let them make their choices. I have in the past had to, I guess, for lack of a better term, fire clients that want to call me to read the cards on everything. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you can't rely 100%, even if they are accurate, which a lot of times they are. You
Yeah.
still need to step into your own power, your own self confidence, be willing to trust your intuition and make the choices that are going to benefit you, and learn to read the signs in life.
Yeah.
Now, if you're truly struggling, I'm here, I'm down, let's do this.
Right.
But if it's just an everyday thing,
Yeah.
yeah, no. But
Yeah.
a lot of tarot readers, they do. They get up every morning, they pull their cards for the day, or they pull their cards of what they should do later. And I'm like, it's not the way I operate.
Yeah, I get it. That makes sense. You mentioned, I read in your bio that you do tarot and oracle. What's the difference between tarot and oracles? Should someone use tarot over oracles? What's the
I
difference?
mean,
Is there a preference?
I guess that is personal preference. So here's the big difference to me between tarot and oracle, and why I prefer tarot 90% of the time. So
Okay.
tarot is structured. Like I said, it's 78 cards, 22 major, 56 minor, suits. You know, it doesn't matter what deck you pick up, it's going to have those if it's a true tarot deck. So
Okay.
when you're to the point that you are fluent in the language of tarot, you can read any tarot deck. Oracles, every single one of them is fucking different. Like totally different. The theme could be different, the amount of cards different, the how it speaks to you is different. Some are based on angels, some are based on animals, some are dark and spooky, some are light and airy, some are, what do you call it, kawaii. Like
Yeah.
there's so many different oracles. Some are deep dive into shadow work and want to bare your soul, while others want to tell you to go get a latte. So
Okay.
Oracle is very different in nature, in the fact that, again, because the way that I learn and the way that I prefer to read, for me to truly connect with an Oracle card means me spending a whole lot of time reading and deep diving into the book that comes with it. I want to
Ah.
understand why the author made the card the way they did, why this picture,
Ah.
why this, how does this work?
Oh,
Because you want to build a connection with that oracle, unless you are reading solely intuitive, which is what most, from what my experience has been, most oracle readers read solely intuitive. Some of them have never even cracked open the book, which
okay.
again is fine, but I like to have the combination of the education with the intuition. And so typically when I use an oracle deck, I will use it as homework. So I
What?
will do a tarot reading and then pull one, maybe two, usually only one oracle card.
Yeah.
And because, like I said, I won't make the choices for my clients. I won't do any of that. I give them their reading. Um, I don't want to just give them all of this information as to what to expect, what might happen, how to do, and let them leave just going, now what? So I will sometimes pull an oracle card, and that's their homework. So depending on what it says, maybe it says meditate, maybe it says visualize, maybe it says get a latte. Whatever that particular oracle card might say. Maybe it, says inner child work. We
Okay.
will dive into that as what they are to do next. That is their homework.
Oh,
So that's how I
okay.
use oracle. However, there's one oracle that I don't consider an oracle, but it's also not a tarot, but it's structured and I love it. And that's Lenormand or Lenormand. Again, one of those things doesn't
Yeah.
matter. How you pronounce it really doesn't matter.
Right.
But that I love and I read a lot because it's structured, because I love the structure.
Ah.
And you can pick up any Lenormand deck and they are going to have the same 36 cards and they're one individual symbol. And when you understand what that symbol means, it's a whole lot easier to read. So if you're wanting to get into card reading,
Yeah.
but you don't know where to start, to me, the Lenormand is the greatest place to start because there's only 36 cards instead of 78. There's
Oh,
only one symbol on each card instead of 50.
okay.
It's very much, I don't want to say it's simplistic, but in a sense, in comparison, it is. It is much more simplistic. It's like kindergarten versus college when we're looking
Oh,
at Lenormand versus tarot.
okay. Do you read Lenormand?
I do, yes.
Oh, okay.
And
Wow.
and so with that, you never read one card. You always read at least two. Um, and the way that I like to do it is like, sometimes I'll do them like three cards. What is it? You've got noun, verb, um, object, or whatever, and form a sentence. Because
Ah,
again, I don't have one right here, but they are very simplistic in nature where each card, it's clouds, it's a snake, it's a bouquet. There's
right.
not like when you pull a tarot card, you've got you've got a man, you've got the wands, you've got the tent, you've got the mountains, you've got his jacket, you've got his book, you've got
Mm,
all these different things. When you pull
okay.
a Lenormand or Lenormand card, it's literally one thing. It's a key. That's it.
Okay.
A key. Now, mind you, there are some artists that have taken that to an extreme, and those are not the decks that I would recommend a beginner because they can be very distracting because then they can have a lot more symbolism in them than they should have for that
Okay.
particular style of reading.
Yeah.
But I love it because it's like a mix between Oracle and Tarot because it has the structure, but it doesn't have all the different layers of Tarot, where you've got the symbols and the metaphors and the archetypes and all of these different aspects. It's just simple. It's
Hmm.
to the point, and I'm pretty blunt and to the point most of the time.
I'm curious, how long did it take you, or working with the students that you've worked with, how long does it take for someone, even though I know you're going to say everyone's different, which I get, but how long does it take to learn? Because 78 cards, all this information on a card, how long does it take? What have you seen
Well,
with students that you?
you're right. I'm going to say it varies from person to person.
Yeah, yeah.
What I can tell you is my typical course, like if you want to deep dive in with me with tarot, it's usually a 16-week course.
Wow. Okay.
So that's, and again, it's a lifelong study. You're not going to
Oh, yeah.
spend 16 weeks, learn it all, and that's it. You're done. It's not like that. It's like
Right.
I said, I still read different tarot books every day and learn something new 30 years into it.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's, to me, it's a lifelong commitment. Um, but I think, you can start reading from day one. I can teach you how to read cards from day one. I would never recommend that you become a professional reader from day one. That's not fair to your potential clients.
Right.
I
Makes sense.
mean, you
Yeah.
want to build a relationship with your cards.
What made you decide to go professional? You had been doing it for 10 years. Why? Was it fear?
Honestly, it's
Was
going
it
to sound silly, but because people kept offering me money. And I kept trying to say no. And it got to the point where I'm like, why am I saying no? This is the dumbest thing I've ever done in my life. People are offering me money and I'm not taking it. What is wrong
right?
with me? Like,
Right.
so then I started saying yes. And then yeah, more and more and more. you
Okay.
know?
Okay. I was just
Yeah,
curious
kind of silly, right? Like,
yeah. So you also in your bio kind of mention how often do you before I say that, how often do you teach your tarot class? How often do you I've got a gnat flying around. How often do you teach your class?
honestly, that just varies on the students. So
Okay.
usually, like I do like a private mentorship or small group. I don't generally host things unless somebody puts it together, basically.
Okay. Okay.
So
Okay.
it's ongoing when people are interested. It's available, but
Okay.
it does vary.
Okay. I was
Yeah.
just yeah, just curious how often.
For a while, I was doing those dailies on Instagram and TikTok, which I
I
made
loved
for
it.
that.
Why did you stop?
It's exhausting.
But
Not
it
the
was
tarot
so
reading.
good.
So again, this speaks to my vanity, but they're having to get up and do my makeup and
Uh,
set up the lights every day. I'm like, okay, this is a bit much.
uh,
For a while, I was just doing it where you just saw my hands and the cards because
uh,
I work from home. So if I
yeah.
don't have clients booked that day, I don't
Uh,
necessarily want to change out of my PJs.
well, I for one wish you would get back to it because I loved it.
I may.
I absolutely loved it. So when people come to see you, what do they want? Is there something you hear more than anything else? What do you, or is it really that varied?
For me, it's really that varied. And I think it's because of my particular clientele. So here's the thing, there's a lot of tarot readers that specialize in one area or another, whether it's relationships or career or whatever. So the majority of the questions they hear is, will he come back to me? Or am I going to get this job? Or,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
I specialize in life because to me, every day life throws you a different curveball. So one day you might be coming to me and asking, how do I navigate through a divorce? And the next day, how do I navigate through a job change? How do I navigate through my teenage son who won't get off the computer? Or, all of those different things. The majority of my clientele tend to be female. I do have a few male clients, but
Okay.
most of them are female.
Yeah.
And I would say the majority of them are probably 30 and over.
Okay.
So they are at a place in life where they're either already settled down or they're trying to be settled down. They're wanting to just find stability, find happiness. And so the variety of questions is kind of all over the place.
Mm.
I do have a few clients in their early 20s, but I'm probably also not the right reader for them in a sense that they're not in the same headspace as they're still wanting people to make choices for them.
Mm.
They're still looking for someone to tell them what to do, where to go, how to, what to eat
Yeah.
when.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's not
Okay.
really the way that I read cards. And
Okay.
the other thing that I think is different for me is that particular, like the younger generation is very spiritual, which I think is amazing, but more so in what I would consider a woo-woo sense than I am. I'm very, like I said before, I'm very practical, very based in reality and down to
Mm-hmm.
earth. I don't do much for fantasy. I don't like sci-fi. I'm not into aliens. You're not. Now it's so funny because my family is different. Like my youngest daughter wants to be a cryptozoologist. She's obsessed with cryptozoology, Bigfoot, monsters.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
My son is a dungeon master for
Yeah.
D&D. I'm not into any of that kind of stuff. I am
Wow.
here and now. I don't even like fantasy books or TV or anything.
Wow. Wow.
So that the younger generation tends to be very much in a, I don't know, different headspace than I am. So we don't always jive.
Right.
I'm more than happy to have them over, do a reading, see if it works for them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we're just very different. And then that's the other thing for me with like even my peers. Like I said, I'm not very woo-woo, which makes it difficult in a very woo-woo career.
Hey, that's
I'm
okay.
the controversial one. I'm the outlier because
Ah,
I
that's
don't
good.
I don't believe I don't know if, okay, so the word's not believes because some of the stuff I do believe, but I don't see a point. So I'll give you an example. And again, this is a very controversial point of view and it pisses a lot of people off, but it's just this is how I feel. Like I said, I do predictive readings. I will do some like I'll read on why are you feeling the way you're feeling? Why are you doing the things you're doing? Why is how does this person feel regarding you? That kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I don't do anything that cannot be validated. So I'm like you, evidential medium, I'm
Mm-hmm.
evidential tarot reader.
Ah,
So I don't do past life. I don't do Akashic record. I don't do anything that you cannot validate because how can I prove to you that what I'm seeing or saying is accurate? I can't. And that's where a lot of fraudulent stuff comes from, unfortunately.
ah,
Um,
huh.
and so I don't, it's not that I don't believe in past life because I do. I believe in reincarnation. I know
Right, right.
that we've had past lives,
Yeah.
but you may have recollections of your past life that you
Mm-hmm.
might be able to piece together,
Right.
but you're not going to have, unless you can come up with verifiable evidence, which has happened. I've watched shows on stuff
Yeah.
like kids, especially kids, because they're fresh into this life.
Yeah. You're
They can
right.
do names, dates, and whatnot.
Oh,
Some of
absolutely.
that, yes,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
But a past life reader at a fair that's telling you you were Cleopatra, unless you have something evidentiary, don't waste my time.
Yeah.
I won't waste your time. I won't tell you this is, what has occurred or what's going to occur in your next life.
Yeah.
Because if it's near next life, I probably won't be there for you to say you're wrong.
No, I totally, Kat. I really, honestly, I do understand that because I'm kind of the same way myself. As you said, you called yourself that outlier because, I've kind of thought that way when people say, like an angel reader, and, Archangel Gabriel or whatever, is with you. And so I totally do understand what you mean by the evidence. And I get what you mean by past lives. I agree with the kids, or I've watched this one guy who used to do past life readings, and he would literally go do research like to the country or the city. So I totally understand where you come from. We're probably more alike than you
It's
think.
like I can't
So
say that you're 100% wrong with that, but I also
exactly.
can't say you're right. Like
Exactly.
until you
Yeah.
can provide proof, it's just could be.
Right. Right. Yeah. Or sometimes I think themes will come up that resonate in your life. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I do think sometimes maybe themes can come up that might carry over life to
Oh yeah,
life.
like
So,
karmic kind of debt kind of things, and I
yeah.
think people from past lives show up in this life too.
Yeah.
You feel an intimate connection with somebody you just met that you've known them.
Yeah.
I don't deny any of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
I
just saying
agree.
from a professional standpoint, somebody handing me their hard-earned money, I'm not taking it if I can't find some way to prove it. So even if I'm giving you a predictive reading, if you come back to me in 6 months and you say you were completely wrong, well, then we know. I
Right.
mean, to be
Right.
honest, though, I've gotten, for the majority, very, very good feedback from almost everybody.
Yeah.
There's times where they may disagree with me at the moment and then
Right.
end up having to eat their words later.
Yep. I
um, I'm not
understand.
going to say
Yep.
I'm 100% accurate. It's not possible.
Right.
Um,
I got you. I'm right there
But
with
yeah, I have a pretty good rate. I'm better than any meteorologist, I can tell you that.
you.
I don't make as much, but I definitely should.
I'm curious. I've always wondered this about tarot readers. Is it required to have a question? Could I if I said to you right now to draw cards for me, do I have to have a question? Does a client have to have a question? Or can you just pull cards, somebody sits down and goes, Kat, I really don't know what I need to ask you. I don't know what I need. Life is pretty good right now. Can you tell me what the cards say?
So 90% of the time, that's exactly what happens, especially at fairs. When people
Oh,
come to me at fairs, 99% of the time, they don't have a question. They sit in that chair and they're like, I don't know, whatever the cards want to tell me, which
okay.
is fine. Again, that's when the intuition has to kick in, because you've got these cards and they have several meanings and you have no
Yeah.
context to apply them to. So where typically when we're talking about the different suits, they have an area that they relate to, right? So wands
Mm-hmm.
is going to be like your careers, your creative passions, things like that, where
Mm-hmm.
cups are going to be relationships and emotions. But with no question, you get all cups, you automatically want to give relationship reading, but it may
Oh,
not pertain to that. That's where you have to tap into your intuition and really
ah,
kind of find a way to, I guess, let the universe tell you what the meanings are.
right.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
but you still have your academic education. You still have your knowledge of the cards, but that's where the intuition comes in. I will say personally, what I tell all my clients, I think I even have it both on my website and my newsletter and all that, is the more specific the question, the more specific the answer. If you give me context, if you want to come in and I mean, I can do both. I can what they
Okay.
consider cold read or whatever, where you have no question, no context, no nothing,
Uh-huh.
complete stranger. I will read
Okay.
and tell you what I see. Or you want to come down, sit down, and tell me your whole situation of what happened, how it happened, who's involved, and then ask a question regarding it. I can give you a lot more clarity on that, less
Gotcha.
vagueness, because I can read the cards in context.
Hmm. You have a particular spread. Can you do the same with a one card spread? I don't know what you do at a fair besides the reading I had. Can you do one card, two card? Is there a preference? Does it depend on the situation?
So my preference is I almost always read in threes. I read three cards at a time. Again, because I like to see how the cards connect and talk to each other. It gives you more information. Like I said, to me, tarot is a language. You're not just going to look at one word. You're going to look at least three words and put together a sentence. Or if you're trying to make a story, you've got the beginning, the middle, the end, right? Past, present,
Okay.
future, that kind
Okay.
of thing. I almost
Yeah.
always read three cards at a time is how I prefer to read. As far as a spread, at this point in my career, I almost never do a spread unless it's necessary, like at a fair or an event or a party where it's rapid fire. I will keep it. Even then, they don't have specific like past, present, future, mind, body, soul. I don't read like that.
Uh-huh.
I will generally do three or five cards. I usually like a 5 card spread for like a
Okay.
5 minute reading, like a real quick thing, because I will look at them progressively. Like that center card is the focus. That's the main thing. But then you can see what's led up to it, what's coming from it. And then you can also do the mirroring and things like
Hmm.
that and read them all kind of together in different ways to get a full rounded picture of what the situation is, with or without a question.
Hmm. Okay.
But
Can
when
pe-
I'm doing like a full 30-minute reading here at the house, a private reading,
uh-huh.
I have no idea how many cards it's going to be. It's going to be probably a minimum of 16, could be up to
Oh
the whole
wow.
damn deck,
Oh
because
gosh.
like we'll start out, like I said, sometimes they show up with no questions at all and we just start out and then they have more questions, or we start out with a specific question, we get an answer, which leads us to the next question. So if this is going to happen, then what about this? And we go on
Mm.
and continue until the time is up.
Do you only do readings in person? If someone out there wants a reading with you, can you do it over Zoom? Do you prefer it in person? Can you do it over the phone?
So my preference is always in person.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like old school like that. Just like my
Yeah.
preference is to handwrite things rather than type them. I'm
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
Like I handwrite my grocery list. Like I might look young, but I'm pushing 50 at this
Yeah.
point, and
Yeah.
I'm very old school in my way of doing things. So I prefer in person, but I offer both Zoom and phone. I do
Okay.
have a lot of long distance clients because I've traveled extensively. I've
Right.
been through 39 states. I've lived in 12 of them.
Wow.
I've been reading for so long, I have clients from all these different states. They will still call.
Okay.
I have some that only do phone readings, and then I have others
Okay.
that do prefer Zoom. And Zoom became much more popular during the COVID
Oh
times.
yeah. Yeah.
So some
Yeah.
people that used to come see me in person on a regular basis switched to Zoom during COVID, and they're like, "Hell, this is nice. I can sit at home and get my reading.
Yes.
I'm just gonna
Yeah.
sit with Zoom,"
Yeah.
because they found it to be just as accurate. They didn't need to leave their house.
Absolutely. Same thing in mediumship. Pandemic did that, and a lot of people don't want to have to drive, deal with traffic or whatever. So they're like, yeah, spirit doesn't care how
And I
it
do a
comes
lot of
through.
Zoom in the winter because who wants
Yeah,
to go out
yeah,
in the snow?
absolutely. Well, before I let you go, I also wanted to touch base a little bit on something that was in your bio, talking about being a life coach. Tell me, what is a life coach? How did you get into that?
So, as far as me being a life coach, I am not, again, not your typical. I'm your outlier. I life coach through tarot. Now, I will use tarot cards to look at your current situation as well as what's coming up, and then we will use the tarot as well as just regular tools to set smart goals. You know, the
Okay,
specific, measurable, attainable, uh, what those kind of goals, and we will
okay,
go through things of that nature. um, but basically it's I guess advice and guidance through tarot,
okay,
rather than just based on sheer life experience, which I
okay.
have lots of life experience. But I feel like you want, if you come to me, it's because you want a combination of life experience and guidance as well as divine universal knowledge.
Right. Ah, I
Mm.
love
So
that.
so
Yeah.
it's a combination of the 2.
Okay. I love that. I love that. I love that. Yeah. That is really this has been really eye-opening because I always whenever I see a tarot reader, I'm like, I don't know how you ever get to know all 78 cards. And
Well,
uh,
I the reason I haven't been at fairs or been very quiet on my social media and everything is I've been writing a book about that
ah,
subject,
okay.
and I'm hoping to self-publish it this month, so it
Okay.
should be out soon,
On
um,
tarot.
on tarot.
Read. Okay.
It's I guess I can give you the title. It's Practical Tarot Reading Techniques for Everyday Readings. So it's
Wow.
going to break it down
Congratulations.
as to how to read tarot for everyday readings that is less, I guess, esoterical, that's more practical, based in reality, and gives you different things that you can use depending on your style of learning. Some people are academic like me and they want to read the books. Some are visual and they don't, and they want to just use their intuition in the picture. And so it breaks all these different ways down, and all the different aspects of reading tarot, such as, like I said before, the archetypes, the keywords,
Right.
or it could be something as we talked before, like the numerology aspect of it. What do
Yeah.
twos mean? What do threes mean? How can you incorporate that? And it goes through and will make it much easier to learn tarot.
Wow. Well, congratulations. Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm always amazed because maybe it's I'm old and I'm like, who can remember all of that? But maybe after you've been doing it for 30 years, it gets easier. But how can people reach you? If people want to schedule a reading, and I truly, truly, I tell people, I wish you would come back to the Instagram. I've told people about that.
I
I
might.
loved my reading with you. I just have admired you from afar. And
Aw.
so I really hope you come back out more, so people can see you. But how can people reach out if they'd like to get a reading? What's the best way to
The
contact?
best way, if you're wanting a reading, is through my website, and that's just my name. It's www.catiara.com. If
Okay.
you're wanting my Instagram, my TikTok, to see if I start posting the daily cards again, which I'll probably do. It may not be daily, it might be weekly, just to start
There
with.
you go. There you go.
That should be like at Catiara Marie. So
Okay.
on Instagram and TikTok, it's at Catiara Marie.
All right. Well, I truly appreciate you. Tarot is fascinating to me.
Me too.
I've even got a couple of decks, but yeah, they've got dust. So that tells you
You
how
can
much
fix that.
I need. That 16-week course you have. That's what I have truly always wanted to study it, to learn it, because again, it's fascinating to me. So I'll have to remember that in the future. But thank you so much. I appreciate it. Everybody reach out to Kat for a tarot reading or life coaching. Heck, maybe I need that. You never know. But I thank everybody for joining us. Again, remember you can see all episodes at Spirit Speaker KC on YouTube channel and on Spotify. And I will see you next time.
Well, thanks for thinking of me. You have a great evening.
Yeah.